When I look at Singapore, I see this incredibly blessed city. We have so much going for us. We've got wealth, we've got education, we've got security. Can you imagine what Singapore could do for the world if she lived up to her fullest potential? I want to help her get there. I want to see Singapore confident of what she could offer to the world. I really want to see Singapore go from being just a good city to a really great one.
In all the years that I've been teaching, I still find it sometimes shocking and even saddening of how many times itself we begin to look at our students and we still experience or see that fear. Fear for them to begin to create change, fear for them to even just try and do what they really, really believe in. And I understand that fear. I totally understand it because I too grew up in this political system and I've experienced my fair share of failures, so much to the extent that I would pull back and I would say that, I don't dare try. So what I would really want to do is begin to have a Singapore itself of people who would impact not just our own country itself, but really that of the region.
Singapore is excellent in so many ways. I want more people to see and to realize that already we leverage our hard capital in these bold and amazing and visionary ways. And we do that really well on a consistent basis. But I also want Singapore to produce great art, innovative technologies, and cutting-edge design. I want us to count whenever they talk about New York, Norway, and Germany. I want Singapore to count with these creative cities.
So I guess right from the start, what we really wanted to do was create a new way forward, a new way that we could think, live, and serve as a community.
The Thought Collective's mission is to build social and emotional capital in Singapore. It's ridiculously important, and we just have to do it.
There are 5 different companies in the Thought Collective. They all share the same mission, but they execute it in 5 different strategies.
So we began with a school of thought because we understand that teachers really are the front lines of any form of change that we want to bring to a country. And that really is the principle. If a classroom does not shift, the nation does not shift. School of Thought wanted to create a pedagogy, a way of learning itself that would outlast examinations. That would be something itself that would be enduring for, I guess, the hearts of every student.
What School of Thought has done for me is that it's given me the ability to communicate and to bring my point across. I've always been concerned for our society and for the poor and for the needy. And being able to communicate better makes me feel like a greater part of society and gives me the confidence that one day I can make a difference to this world.
So what we really want to do is drive innovation in civic learning, because we know that today's youth will be tomorrow's thought leaders.
To aid School of Thought's work, we needed a publishing and media arm to do information design. That's why we started our second company, Think Tank. The world is so complex today. There are so many conflicting points of view and voices out there. We have to help youths cut through the clutter and make meaning of all this information out there.
What Think Tank does basically is to take a complex issue such as the global economic crisis and make it accessible to the kid who probably knows next to nothing. The editorial team, researchers, writers, editors, we curate content. And then the creative team will help to visualize the data and design how the information is processed. By doing this, we hope to spark off more in-depth conversations about the big issues in the world today.
But we also needed to take this conversation about issues outside of the classroom and into the community. So that's why we went into the restaurant business and began Food for Thought. The mission of Food for Thought is to transform community spaces and to bring people together to eat good food for a good cause.
I've been a long-time customer of Food for Thought. I've seen these guys grow all the way from, the North Bridge Road days, to Sam and Eat Q, to seeing them even now at the Botanic Gardens. And one of the things that really attracted me was, I think firstly, of course, the food. And since then, I think it has grown to be like my happy place.
You won't see Food for Thought set up in a shopping mall, but you might find her in a university or a public park or even a HDB block. And that's because we deliberately put Food for Thought restaurants in spaces of great social significance to the community. We theme our restaurants around what is meaningful to that space so that we can encourage conversation and community to grow around that theme.
Ultimately, what we really want to do is just have a city move forward. But you see, our city, like all other cities across the world, have people who live in it that hold these narratives in their head. Stories of the past, the stories sometimes they just can't get over. What we really wanted to do was create a way where they could begin to see something different. A new way by which to view our own city. And Thingscape really is about that. It's a company itself that creates learning journeys that can have us begin to see institutions and industries and issues with different eyes.
I was taking a bunch of students out for a trail about environmental literacy. We went to the Dairy Farm Nature Park and we were trekking through the bicycle track. And when we reached the quarry, they were like, wow, this is so worth the trek. What struck me that day was that the sort of amazement that they expressed was the same sort of amazement I felt when I was going through the training.
The problems facing Singapore in the next 10 years are going to be so complex. There's no way any of us can do this alone. We're going to need all agencies to work together to solve this. We need the government, we need the corporations, we need the NGOs. If we saw more collaboration across society, we're going to see some amazing breakthroughs in how we deal with the city's most pressing problems. So that's why we began our fifth company, Common Ground. We wanted it to be literally that, a common ground for everyone interested in creating the most innovative solutions to our city's social problems to come together and work for this city.
And when I think about all these things that we want to do, is it ambitious? Of course. Is it scary? Sure, right? But it's important and it's exciting.
So why do we want to do this?
At the heart of it, we do this with our youth in mind.
In 10 years' time, I wish to see youth as the main change makers in Singapore.
Singaporeans can live together with greater acceptance for the differences that they have and also to love each other more.
I hope that Singapore will become a more closely knitted community.
I want to see a Singapore that's more concerned for the poor and uneducated.
I'd like to see Singapore as a place with a lot more compassion and seek a good life rather than seek to attain greater material wealth.
I want people to be less stressful and be more happy.
At the heart of it for me, it really is just about making our world just that bit better.
It's about what we want to leave behind for tomorrow's generation.
It's legacy.